A US news publication is reporting Kamala Harris is ghosting Joe Biden on the campaign trail as she tries to distance herself from the Biden administration. Meanwhile, her aspiring deputy, Tim Walz, has accused Donald Trump of trying to copy the Nazis. Sky News Washington correspondent Annelise Nielsen is on the ground in Somerset, Pennsylvania, one of the most important battleground states this election. Annelise, Donald Trump appears to have packed out Madison Square Garden.
Look, people have been lining up all day, and the pictures we're starting to see from inside ahead of this event looks like every single seat is taken. We know Donald Trump can draw a big crowd, especially when he shows up on time, as he's been getting later and later for his events. People have been thinning out in the crowds, but they know this is a big one. They want to have that big, successful presentation ahead of the last week of campaigning. It's the same reason we're going to see Kamala Harris in Washington, D.C., where she knows she can pull a big crowd as well. What we're not seeing on the campaign trail is Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. As you referenced before, this report was from Axios that Kamala Harris has been ghosting the Biden administration, that Joe Biden's put a few days in his calendar to be out on the campaign, and they simply haven't eventuated because they are concerned that he's not helping her election prospects. What they have done also, as they hone in their attacks on Donald Trump, is taken this particular line of attack against Donald Trump having an event in Madison Square Garden. Now, multiple conventions for both Republicans and Democrats have been held at Madison Square Garden. Previous presidents have held events at Madison Square Garden. JFK's birthday was there when Marilyn Monroe famously sung "Happy Birthday, Mr. President." But the one comparison that the Harris campaign is drawing to is the event held by Nazis in 1939. These were American sympathizers with the cause called the Bund, and they had that very controversial event there. Tim Walz is saying that this is the same thing.
Go do your Google on this. Donald Trump's got this big rally going at Madison Square Garden. There's a direct parallel to a big rally that happened in the mid-1930s at Madison Square Garden. And don't think that he doesn't know for 1 second exactly what they're doing.
Kamala Harris and Donald Trump remain tied in the polls, which means pretty much every major swing state like Pennsylvania, where we are right now, is a toss-up. Whoever wins will get all of those electoral college votes, so it could be a decisive win, but it's down to every single vote to decide who gets these states. That's why we've seen such a ramp-up in rhetoric from these campaigns. Here was Michelle Obama in Michigan last night.
I hope you'll forgive me if I'm a little frustrated that some of us are choosing to ignore Donald Trump's gross incompetence while asking Kamala to dazzle us at every turn. I hope that you'll forgive me if I'm a little angry that we are indifferent to his erratic behavior, his obvious mental decline, his history as a convicted felon.
Over the last 8 years, Donald Trump has become more confused, more unstable, and more angry. And it is clear he has become increasingly unhinged. But the last time, at least there were people who could control him. But notice, they're not with him this time.
Look, Kenny, with the Electoral College being what it is in America, some votes matter more than others. Some of the votes here in Pennsylvania are the most valuable in the country. So we've been out talking to voters today. There is still a very devoted following of Donald Trump here. And people who were trying to make up their mind, potentially considering the Democrats, and still very decided that they wanted to support Donald Trump, mostly because of the economy.
I'm going to vote, and I'm going to vote for Trump. I can't say I like him, but when he was in there before, he done a pretty good job. Much better than Biden ever did. Kamala said that she's not going to do anything different she did with Biden. That tells me right there that, hey, she is Biden all the way, and I don't think she's going to change things. And in fact, if anything, she's going to destroy us.
And Kenny, the other interesting statistic that's come through today is 40 million Americans have cast an early ballot so far. That's a drastic increase of Republicans casting their ballot early. So a good indicator that this will be just as tight as the polls suggest.
Annelise, thank you. And as Annelise has been saying, these are the live pictures coming in from Madison Square Garden, where Donald Trump is expected to speak shortly. This is a tight race to the White House. It's expected to come down to the wire, and as soon as Donald Trump begins speaking, we'll take you back to New York City for some of that.